some luck involved and some effort involved. But usually we want effort to be the main drive. Like, we don't want anybody getting a job because of luck. And it's the same in video game design as well. So how do you make sure that there's no luck? There are people who go to those extremely exceeding their means, that they don't succeed. First of all, you can make sure that they repeat a task several times, which can be fun in like racing games, but it is often executed poorly. The other thing you can do is create multi-phase challenges, where getting through one of them, usually because of luck, gives you another challenge, which is new to you, and you're more likely to fail it. And you need to repeat the first once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, until you get really good at it. But why is pushing against luck fun in the first place? There's a lot that can be said about things like imposter syndrome, meaning when people feel like what they got was not what they deserved. Imposter syndrome is a lot about misinterpreting your own effort. But if there was no effort to begin with, and all you did was just get lucky, what's the point? Where's the reward? And it's not fun in any case, and not rewarding at all. What we want to feel is growth. At first, our tries might be all over the place. They can be bad, they can be okay, they can be good. But as we grow better at any task, be it video games or playing an instrument, anything, we concentrate our probability density function, and almost all of the things we do are good. And then when we look back at what we were doing before that, we can see that, you know, we were much worse than we are now. So reach for the summit and let the regression to the mean not fool you. Thank you for your attention.
Блин, правда? Нет, правильно написано.
Okay, and
Еще
what?
тон голоса.
Okay, my dear speakers, your task is to involve the audience. You are responsible for the interest of the audience members. Please, your questions. Okay, Alexei, encourage your audience to ask questions.
Я не знаю, чуть-чуть.
Maybe you would.
Спроси.
Так, шановні студенти, будь ласка, це ваша робота, не моя, задавати купу запитань. Я не буду приймати доповіді, якщо не буде обговорення. Ми з вами домовлялись 3-4 хвилини доповідь, 2-3 хвилини обговорення. Якщо не задається запитання, то я буду знижувати тоді бали виступаючим і відповідно вам. Будь ласка, щоб я не повторювала. Запитання.
Okay. Alexei, which is the best... okay. Which is the best game with some best game design or graphics you have ever played? I don't know, with some...
Concerning the topic of this presentation being like regression to the mean and fighting against luck, a lot of what's called roguelike video games are really good at it, as they require you to fail, basically, a lot of times to master the mechanics, and there's no luck in when you need to do consecutive challenges starting from the ground zero.
Okay, Alexei, tell me please what are cons and pros of video games? And tell me please about your experience. Do you play computer games? How often?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that video games are a media, and in our world, it's mainly for entertainment. But as we can learn lessons from, let's say, books, TV shows, we can do the same with video games. What I would equate video games the most is sports, more like casual sports. We often say that children need to go to sports clubs to learn discipline and to learn that rewards don't come easily. And I would argue that the same lessons can be learned from video games. And I have learned those lessons, and applying them to my music studies, it helped a lot with keeping myself motivated and whatnot.
Okay, and there is one question left, please. Lisa, Vladislav, Valeria. Okay, thank you. Okay, Alexei, thank you for your presentation. You are well prepared. Your presentation was interesting, informative. Well done. Thank you. Okay. So the third speaker is
It's me.
Okay.
So my topic is video games, but it's just more general presentation about video games, its history, and some main genres, and so.
And Poplavsky Vladislav,
Yes.
don't forget about your audience. Encourage your audience to ask questions. Involve the whole audience. So you're responsible for the interest.
Okay. So, yes.
And make sure that the audience has heard and will hear you and understand.
Okay. So I'll tell you about what is actually a video game, just a brief history with some turning points, and so also video games just is nowadays also controversial topic. So we'll discuss some pros and cons of video games, and just show you some genres and examples of the most popular video games. So the first one, video game is just an interactive digital entertainment that you play via computer or game console. But also you can use your phone, tablet, almost anything, because nowadays artificial...
Not artificial?
Artificial...
Intent?
Yes. Reality...
Artificial intent?
Artificial?
Okay, continue.
Okay, sorry. So also nowadays artificial reality is very popular nowadays. You can play in some club. You can feel yourself like a warrior in a real war, or like a sportsman, for example. So you don't need only computers or phones to play. That's also a lot of different genres. It's fighting genre or shooter genre. Also, video games are very popular nowadays. They have been growing since they're just down from maybe 2000 years. And nowadays, you can see that gaming industry is now estimated to be worth $153 billion, and it shows an increasable growth. So the history of video games, it begins near 50 years of previous century, where we can see the first analog of some video game, but it's built on mechanical layers and triggers. So, but you could play chess. It's produced by Kuchinan and Alan Turing mostly. The first analog of video games as we know them nowadays, was introduced in 1962 in Massachusetts Institute. The student Steve Russell has invented Space War, the first computer-based video game, where you can manage your ship and destroy other ships. Then the industry of video games has begun to grow very rapidly, and we can see the gaming automates in the United States, especially. They were installed in just some bars or maybe just some cafes, for example. The next date is 1981. The Nintendo company was very successful at video gaming. They began to make consoles, and they have a lot of characters which are very rememberable and are popular even now at 2021 year. So as we see, at 1989 we can see the first portable console, which is the first like an ancestor of our mobile phone games and so on. Next, we already have consoles, computers as a video game field. So I can just show you how the graphics in video games was developing. As we see, in 1993, the Mortal Kombat is out, one of the first fighting games, and Doom, which were very popular, and also an ancestor of nowadays first-person shooter games. Then the age of gaming console starts. You can see the development of consoles by Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. They use different gamepads. Also, as at Nintendo Wii, you can use special joysticks to simulate your movement in your room, for example, and this allowed to play different sport games such as dance games or etc. Every year the consoles began more and more powerful. As you see, PlayStation 4 in 2013 and PlayStation 5 in 2020 year. And I'll show you just the development of virtual reality games and the development of esports, which is now very popular, like other sports like football or basketball, which have a great amount of prizes and continued development. So here are just some statistics between gamers. So you can see how the gamers, it's their gender, age, the most used platforms, and average spend per customer. So the next topic is pros and cons of video games. So I want to ask for an audience what attracts you at video games, or maybe some negative sides. So Please tell me.
The video games are quite easy to play and they have good rewarding system, and while playing them you feel happy. In contrast,
Yes, I have this in my benefits. Video games can are very competitive and funny in some way, but maybe you can tell me some cons of video games.
it takes a lot of time and people may not control themselves while they're playing.
Yes, video
It
games.
can lead to obesity. Because when you are playing games is such kind of watching TV. When you are doing that, you want to eat something, fast food mostly. So you buy chips, you can buy cola. So imagine situation, you are sitting near your computer, you are watching in your screen, you are eating chips, you are eating unhealthy food. So it can lead to obesity, some problems with health, and other problems like you aren't going to go out from your house if you are playing video games a lot.
I suppose it's hard to eat when you are playing Dota.
I don't know that.
Not so hard as you think.
Okay, so very interesting opinion. Thank you. Yes, the video games can be very addictive, and some people have a certain amount of problems with their learning, for example, their life. So you need to not play it too much. So you can see also here another benefits, because we're also out of time. I'll show you the next thing, the main genres of video games. As we see, the shooter, fighting, sports. I think that's clear to everyone. In fighting, you just play for your computer characters and fight with your friends, for example. In shooter, you feel yourself like you are a warrior in some battle. In sports, they just simulate an ordinary sports like football, basketball, or maybe box even. In platformer, are just simple games which were very popular in previous century, but they're still popular. I don't know. Also, you have more interactive games like dance games, where you can use your room to interact with the gaming console, and also we can see survival horror, which is in some way similar to the films, to the horror films. Okay, so that's all. Thanks for your attention.
And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
If anyone has any questions, yes, I'd be happy to answer them.
What do you think about the cybersport development?
Its development is very rapid nowadays. We can see that the amount of prizes has growth to some millions of dollars, and it continues to grow. So I think it's a very perspective industry, and it's interesting to look for it, and it will grow much and much in the future.
You mentioned quite a lot of platforms when you talked about history of gaming. What do you think about preservation of video games? Is it hard?
What is preservation?
Like preserving for future generations so that your kids might know what video games were before you.
I think that's actually not hard, because we have the same hard drives as we had a long time ago, but the first gaming consoles were using special cards, and now they are very rare. because the video games were not so popular that days. So I think now it's not a problem like it was before.
And speaking of first games, what was the first one you ever played?
I don't know, maybe it was some game which was based on some cartoon. Maybe it was like Shrek, I don't know. Something like that. No questions anymore.
Okay, well done, thank you. Whose turn is it?
Let's reconnect maybe.
Yes, you are right. 1 minute left. Let's rejoin the meeting. Okay.
Понимаешь, что я не вернусь. Нормально завел толпу, конечно, я спикинг, но
Что?
нормально завел толпу, да?
Нормально.
Жесть.
Что вопрос?
Стрим.
Красиво.
Ну, я наш понимаешь, что я не